I want to just let y'all know, y'all remember Robert Hearn saying something about a conspiracy with the thing with Lester Gillespie on that same day on August the 26th, 2023. On this same corner that I was just on, Green and Vine Street, facing the Williams Funeral Home, it was a sheriff captain park right there. You see the people from the RRR, Raymond Research and Recovery, the Underground Railroad, was watching it because, see, they knew that I couldn't go into this C.F. Bowen Center. Can't go on none of this property. Can't even walk on the sidewalk. But on that day, I want you to see something. You remember that corner I just told you, Green and Vine Street, on Green, facing north. And I'm going down this street for a minute. This is Cy Williams. Now, you remember they was having my uncle's funeral here in the C.F. Bowen Center where I couldn't go. You remember I was across the street on city property, public property. But I want to show y'all something, the great conspiracy. Now, everybody knew I couldn't go in there because this coming March would be 2 years that I've been barred from there by the executive director of the Housing Authority, Paul Page, along with Lester Gillespie, who they let run that place, and the NAACP members here. And I'm an NAACP member myself. You can see what this is. This is Cy Williams Avenue in Iron Banks. Now, going down this street here, this is Cy Williams Avenue, used to be formerly known as Elm Street. Pay attention to what I'm saying now. Get your notebook out. You remember what Barry Morgan was? An individual that shouldn't even be on the sheriff's department. You remember Lester when he tried to kick in the girl's door? But what I want to say, right here, you seen a state police car pass by here about almost 2:20 something. And then about less than a minute later, you seen Lester Gillespie pass by this same street after the state police car. Now, this what Lester did. He's going down Cy Williams. He turned down here to Vine Street. Then he turned here on Boone Street. It's where my uncle used to live before he passed. May he rest in peace. Then he parked about right here. Look at my video. He parked about right here for a few minutes. For about a minute. And then he came all the way down here where I was at. I was at the end. This is Boone Street, a dead end. Remember Hearn said, I didn't say nothing about the conspiracy. Hearn said a conspiracy, didn't he? Now the people live here, they witnessed. And other people back there, they witnessed what he did. He pulled up while I was over here videoing, minding my own business. He pulled about right here. Then he got the video on me. Then he did like they did Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia. The three racist individuals, the father and son and the other guy, when they chased him down the truck, he blocked me from going any place else. Now, you remember Robert Hearn say, the prosecuting attorney said that she didn't see no crime being committed. You remember he opened up his door. I was over here. People over here was witnessing. People down there was witnessing. Even some of the people that was at my uncle's funeral witnessed. He opened up his door. It was like that. He turned around facing me and got the video on me. When he was right here, he said, Raymond Ivy. And I said, yeah, I'm Raymond Ivy. Now, listen. when he came from down there, he parked down there now for a minute. After he went down here, I was just videoing my uncle's funeral now. Remember, Bobby Hearn said a conspiracy, y'all. You remember Barry Morgan, a person that don't like me. Barry Morgan is a person that's on the sheriff department. You remember on December the 7th, 2022, if you don't remember, when Lester Gillespie was bursting into a house with a woman and 2 children, I know that brought fright to the female and her children. That should have been a felony. Like the sheriff deputy Nicholas Pratt said, it was a burglary and an assault, but no charges was filed against him. Lester said, I can call Brent Farrow, the sheriff, who hired criminals like John Blakely, like Barry Morgan, like Lester Gillespie. But he said, I can call Brent Farrow. I work for him. Now, he parked down there. It's to show you what his intentions was. The video shows it all. He parked down there by my uncle's house. May he my uncle rest in peace. Then he came all the way down here to the dead end. I couldn't go no place else. I couldn't go too far down here. But then when I moved, did you see what he did? He backed his truck up a couple of times and he kept looking over this way because he had noticed that people was watching him. Then he pulled right here. And I was in the street. I can't go too far down there. I don't want to run down here because if they let him kick in a girl's door and don't arrest him, they might let him run me over or shoot me and nothing is said. You seen Bobby Hearn said a conspiracy. I'm going to show you the conspiracy. I'm going to show you the conspiracy. But it was right there. He was here for 9 minutes and 23 seconds. Y'all hear me? 9 minutes and 23 seconds harassing me, disturbing my peace, humiliating me in front of other people that's watching, saying that I raped a 16-year-old girl and he had pictures from the Susanna Wesley Family Learning Center that I beat up my wife. Her face was swollen and her eyes were swollen, but no police reports on none of this. He said, what was you on probation for? Ask my probation officer what I was on probation for. Ask the crooked judge who found me guilty what I was on probation for. He's not a judge anymore. He's a lawyer because that God got him off the bench. Ask the city attorney. Ask the city, hey, how y'all doing? Ask the city attorney what I was on probation for. I was on probation for Lester Gillespie telling children in the neighborhood on April the 9th, 2016 that I raped children and telling people that I was trying to video their houses. And I came down the street 158 feet away from my house where I live on Vine in Warhousing. Lester lived all the way there on Main Street, North Main Street, right down the street from the police station, the courthouse. In a neighborhood that's 99.99% white, but he come in a black neighborhood, terrorizing female, kicking in the door, coming over here, harassing me. But let me show you this. How in the world is what this video showed is not a harassment? The police that wrote it, he used to work here. Then he went to East Prairie as the chief of police. Then came back here as an officer. Now, if he wrote a report that says second-degree harassment or class A misdemeanor harassment, which they convicted me of, how do he not know? Then in his report, he said that his report is designated not to the city of Charleston. It ain't a city matter. It's a state matter. This man was a chief of police, and he wrote a report that he know how to write it. I was there when he had the handbook in his hand, and the handbook told him, gave him confirmation what the case was. But the prosecuting attorney that used to be Lester Gillespie's lawyer from Susanna Wesley Family Learning Center, she worked with Lester Gillespie in the Susanna Wesley Learning Center. She represented Lester Gillespie in a case that Lester Gillespie tried to put get a protection order from me, and I got had it where a judge come other than the 33rd Circuit Court here in Mississippi County, which was Judge Gary Camp. And he heard the case. He dismissed it, the emergency a protection order that Robert Barker gave Lester Gillespie, because Robert Barker shouldn't have even had the case himself. He knew it. He should have recused himself because he worked it at Susanna Wesley with Lester Gillespie. I got the tape. He said, I think I used to work with him. You don't think. If I know, you know. And let me show you about Susanna Wesley. Susanna Wesley hired criminals too. Criminals that can still commit crimes long as they're in the black neighborhood. Lester Gillespie in the mid-1990s, around 1996 or 97, let me tell you who he was working for, because when I came down here, living in the house where my uncle was living before my grandmother died, and they gave me 10 days to move out, the family down here. They gave me and the dog 10 days to move out. But Lester Gillespie was working for a person that my grandmother told me don't work for, because one of my uncles was working for him. My grandmother told me, do not work for Joker. Joker Warren, I think his name is. She said, if you can't find a job, don't work for him. That's who Lester Gillespie was working for. Then Lester Gillespie got caught up in the black neighborhoods. You see Susanna Wesley, the police department, no disrespect to any white people that's not a part of this here, but anybody that these white folks that's running this town tell him to do, he gonna do it, but he gonna do it in the black community. He couldn't kick in that door. He couldn't kick in a female's door and got away with what he got away with, and no arrest, no arrest on it, no conviction or nothing like that, no charges. He couldn't do what he did to me on Saturday, August the 26th, 2023. He couldn't do that to a white person. But you see, Lester Gillespie was convicted of voter fraud. He pled guilty to voter fraud. He was in the black community giving black people that was on drugs and that was alcoholics, he was giving them $1 or a bag of candy or a cigar or a can of a 40 ounce of Old English beer to vote for who them white folks that he was working for wanted them to vote for. And you know it if they had Lester out here giving the drug addicts that amount of money, $1, anything, all them equivalent to $1. And you know what it took? You see, the city wasn't going to arrest him, because Bobby Hearns, even though he might have not been the chief, but he know what Lester was doing, and the people that was running City Hall know what Lester was doing. Didn't no law enforcement official get him here. You know who got him? A Wall Street journalist, and I hope he watching. He investigated Lester. I got a chance to meet him. He investigated Lester, and they got Lester arrested. Sometimes it take a while. And he got arrested while he was still working for Susanna Wesley. That's one thing. Now, you innocent until proven otherwise. But he was found guilty. He pled guilty, and Susanna Wesley still kept him on there. Let him work there almost 20 years until he retired. They trained him and the other blacks real well, because this is where they came to. The C.F. Bowen Center. To misuse other blacks and to try to silence voices like me. But yeah, Robert Hearns, it was a conspiracy. It is a conspiracy. And then Lester, right here, y'all heard him ask me to name 2 things that I did since I've been down here, and without using exposure. Even though I told him exposure, I'm gonna tell you why I started off, Lester. I started off at that same house with you worked it hand in hand with my uncle's wife to make sure that they have his funeral over here where I couldn't go. But that was all right. You see, because I know when my uncle was in Memphis, Tennessee, by himself, on his dying bed with blood on his brain and his eye socket knocked out because he fell because somebody wasn't watching him. See, I know how to take care of the elderly. I took care of my daddy, my uncle's brother, my World War II daddy, without any help from anybody down here. And he ain't never had no accident. He died of dementia. But you see, on July the 14th and the 15th of 2023, let me tell you where the same one that conspired with Lester so I couldn't go, she was down in St. Louis, Missouri, sitting in a wheelchair smiling, her and her two daughters, while my uncle was in Memphis, Tennessee by himself suffering. You see, this is the type of people that Lester Gillespie deal with. All you got to do is look at his hierarchy on the Stellar, the Stellar Consulting Company, organization, whatever you want to call it, and look at the hierarchy on his Fresh Start Performance Center. And look who he honor Paul Page. You go take a survey with the black people in Charleston, Missouri, or the black people in the Charleston, Missouri Housing Authority, and see how many of them say he did 30 years of good job. But I'm gonna leave y'all. You're right, Robert Hearns. It was a conspiracy. You see, I had some people that was at the center, at the funeral, told me to come on over. Ain't nobody gonna know I'm there. But you see, Barry Morgan was sitting on point for Lester on Green Street, facing north towards the funeral home where I showed y'all. Lester Gillespie was riding down here, but going the other way. Then turned down there, then turned down here, then parked a little bit farther from where that bus is back, around where that bus is parked at. Right by my uncle's and them house. He sat there for a while until he came down. He didn't even sit that long. When I told y'all to look at the video, at the video I say, I'm gonna tell y'all who that is a little later on down there spying on me. But he asked to name a couple of things. The first thing I could tell you when I first came down here, I made sure I cleared out my grandmother's house, all the people that was living on her free, I put them out. And I paid rent. I paid her house note. She didn't ask me to, but she told me if I need a job and can't find one, don't worry about it, but just don't work for Joker Warren. He's dead now. Most all the people that worked for him was drug dealers. They either locked up, dead, or still doing what they doing like Lester is. You see, they had the courthouse. It wasn't that new once upon a time. They had the courthouse burned down because they was doing that investigation during the time that they got Lester. They had that courthouse burned down and rebuilt it. You see how new it is? You see, they had to destroy all that stuff that they had up in there. But you can't destroy everything. Lester was their fall guy. He finna be the fall guy again. He brought boasts on them houses, but let me get back to let him know what I did in here. I took care of my grandmother, and the people in the town said I did a good job. The only ones that don't think I did a good job is the ones that conspired against me since I wasn't from down here, helped get me moved up out of there. Don't get me wrong, my uncle was a good man. My Uncle Percy was a good man. He stood for what's right. But sometimes you marry the wrong person, especially when they're a dictator and you let them take control of everything, money and everything. All you got to do is take a real good look at my grandmother's house now. The central air condition been gone, up out of the ground. The roof leaks, was leaking. The shed is towed down to to the foundation. But let me just get back to Lester. Lester, that's one thing I did. And you can ask other people here that's legitimate people that don't fool with you and don't agree with what you're doing. I done helped some of their parents. Some of them still alive and some of them have passed away. I done helped some of their parents. Me and my daughter have given bikes and clothes to some of the people in the projects that you took advantage of, getting their food stamps and trying to sleep with the females. Me and my daughters done paid some of the people bills who lights and stuff had been cut off. You see what I'm saying? I can go on and on, you see, because people in the town know what I did. Know what I did. You see what I'm saying? But I ain't got to prove to you. I go up against the school when you won't go up against them, when the NAACP won't go up against them. See, I ain't the only one that didn't have, hey, how y'all doing? All right. I ain't the only one. Now, there goes some people that know me, white and black. Am I a bad person? Hell no. You done know me since you were a baby. How old are you now? 29. Huh? 29. And you been knowing me, how long you been knowing me? Since you've been how old? About? Like 4 or 5 years old. Have I been a good person? Hell yeah, you have. All right. Hey, you ain't gonna let nobody put my name in the dirt, is it? No. Ain't nobody scared of me, is it? No, I'm rocking with you. All right. Hey, y'all take care. And let me know if you want me to get that belt on Mom's if she don't act right. All right, now look at that. That's a white woman that a white young lady that's 29 years old. Me and her mother used to work at the Pilot together. I done filed discrimination for the people at Pilot when it was at where McDonald's is at now, and was successful for discrimination. And other people that's having, Lester said, I'm studying talking about the school, what happened to my daughter, but that was my daughter. It didn't happen to his. It happened to my daughter. You see what I'm saying? That's why I'm talking about it. You see, but other people come to me about what they have, the problem that they have at the school with their children, so I speak about that. You see, Lester Gillespie and the people that he worked for, all you got to do is look and see what do they do for the community. All of them that came from Susanna Wesley, they over here either at the C.F. Bowen Center in these programs, or they over here across the street at the Housing Authority. Susanna Wesley Housing Authority, C.F. Bowen Center, the Sheriff Department, the Police Department, the 33rd Circuit Court here in Mississippi County, Charleston, Missouri, City Hall. If ain't none of y'all a part of it, don't let the shoe fit. If the shoe don't fit your feet, don't wear it. But let me share y'all, Hearns, yeah, it's a conspiracy. Anytime you say the crime that I committed in 2016 was a Class A misdemeanor harassment, and it was a state charge, but what Lester Gillespie did on Saturday, August the 26th, 2023, right here, you said that the state's attorney looked at only one thing. You sent my YouTube video. You didn't send no affidavit, affidavit to confirm what the police officer seen and what I told them. Y'all didn't even put in the report that it was a witness that I gave you, the witness name and phone number. Yeah, it's a conspiracy. But one thing about the conspiracy, it's gonna come to pass. People seen when I was talking about you thought it was funny yesterday in the police department. My daughter that was videoing you, she didn't think it was funny. All right, look at the bus driver even blowing at me. You see what I'm saying? That go to show you, Lester said, don't nobody in this town like me. You done seen a bus driver, and I talk about the school, but they know if it ain't them, they ain't got to worry about it. The only one worried about it is the people that's committing the crime, and it's gonna take the Missouri State Highway Patrol and the FBI and the Justice Department to come down here and clean it up. That's the only way it get cleaned up. You see, less than them got people working in the black folks that's working in the sheriff department, the police department, up in the courts. But in the end, I feel like David, when he was going up against Goliath, they was laughing at him. Goliath gave David his big old shield. David didn't take his shield because the shield was too big. It was bigger than him. But David had a slingshot in the rock and brought Goliath down. You see, they laughed at Daniel when he was in the lion's den. They thought that lion was going to eat him up. That lion came licking on David. David was patting his head. Daniel was patting his head. They laughed at the 3 Hebrew boys that was in the furnace, that they put in the furnace. They thought it was 3 in that, then they looked, there was 4. The Holy Spirit was in there. The Holy Spirit, that's what's keeping me up. Both of my daughters respectful. Both of my daughters is working. Both of them know how to drive. Both of them, they ain't out in the streets working on these food programs for Lester. Lester and them want a generation of people just passing out food. They don't want them to go down to the courthouse. They don't want them to be a prosecuting attorney or a judge. You go in there, I go in there every Tuesday and Wednesday. You only see one black attorney, and she a part of Lester and them clan, but she from Illinois. I went to church with her for. Ask some of the black people that she represented before. She ain't for the black people. Now you go to one of them big NAACP functions or something like that, that's when you'll see Lester and all them other people that's over there that work with him. Fresh Start Performance Center have a bunch of people that's working in there, that's on his hierarchy. Family was able to get away with selling drugs and killing people down here because they work hand in hand with the sheriff department here, Charles, Missouri, Mississippi County Sheriff Department, and the police department. And not all police and not all sheriff. Yeah, it was conspiracy. And Lester, I can tell you many more things that I did. But show me what you or anybody that works with you, what y'all did without government grant money. And like my young daughter said, produce any paperwork that I was on probation, I was arrested, I was charged, or I was convicted for rape. Produce any police records or anything, pictures showing that I bruised up my daughter's and their mother's eyes and squared up her face. Produce it. But I can produce. All people got to Google up for you is the conviction on the voter fraud. Ask him, can he vote? Ask him what happened. You remember when I asked him what happened at 603 Lee Street? I said Van, but 603 Lee Street. When he tried to kick in the door with the sheriff deputy there. Now, what other witness can you have but a sheriff deputy to be able to get a crime, a charge against him? What else can you have? A videotape that I had showing the crime he committed. But that shows you, see, he got these people that think that they got that big power. But see, God bring you down. God give you massive heart attacks, massive strokes. He send you to the cemetery. He takes you off the bench. And sometimes he take it on your family. But I was parked here minding my own business, y'all. I couldn't even finish my video. But ain't none of these black folks in the CF Bowen Center, or none of these NAACP members or any law enforcement officials. Well, I ain't gonna say any, some do. But when you file a police report and you send it to a state, an affidavit normally go with it. If you got any witness, you send all the information you got. But that didn't happen in the case when Lester came over here harassing me. But God see it, and you can believe other authorities see it too. Peace be still.